Hi, this is Dee at Aloha, Astro. We're taking a look at a full moon today in the mutable earth sign of Virgo, and that occurred at 7:31 a.m. Eastern Time, February 24th, 2024. Let's take a look at the forecast for the day. Full moon in Virgo, Saturday, February 24th, highlights balancing the pragmatic and material doing with the spiritual and intuitive practice of being to direct toward manifesting greater abundance and positive changes in your life, as the moon opposes the sun conjunct Mercury and Saturn, all in Pisces, while Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are sextile to the Pisces planets and trine to the moon. Virgo is a Mercury-ruled mutable earth sign associated with the 6th house of service-related work, the daily job, habits, health, diet, exercise, and the mundane details of daily life we must attend to in order to maintain a balanced and purposeful life. It is a highly intelligent yet modest problem-solving sign which offers you the opportunity to improve yourself or be of service to others over the next 2 weeks. Many people with strong Virgo placements in their natal chart have a very specific skill or knowledge that they are sought out for, and this lunation, which activates the Virgo energy in your natal chart, may shine the light on your particular talent and show you the means by which you can share it with others. The tension and pressure of Pluto, Venus, and Mars in Aquarius, square to Jupiter and Uranus, now has a conduit for action, release, and healing via the trine and sextile the moon forms with the Pisces and Taurus planets. Virgo is the Ways and Means Committee of the zodiac, and this full moon can reveal the who, what, when, why, where, and how that you seek, so you can discern, decide, and become your future self. Let's take a look at what's going on in the sky. And here we see the moon, 5 degrees, 23 minutes. And there's the sun at 5 degrees of 23 minutes of Pisces. And we've got Mercury in early degrees of Pisces, Saturn a little further along, and the sun is sandwiched between the two. This brings a bit of, kind of like a nostalgic feeling, as well as the realization that if you have a particular thing that you want to achieve that seems impossible or improbable, then you have to turn toward that moon in Virgo to figure out the how of it. Like, how are you going to make something happen? But it's important to be able to do the spiritual side of life while you are attending to the practical side of life in order to activate the potential that's within that trine between the moon and Jupiter and Uranus. They're loosely conjunct. Jupiter is moving in toward Uranus. They're close enough that you're feeling those two planets together, and it's going to become increasingly more so in the next 2 weeks with a type of quickening energy to either build up your material resources or to manifest them, to make changes that are positive in your environment or in your attitude and how you believe life works, how you feel about yourself. Taurus rules the 2nd house of self-worth, self-esteem, personal values, money. And interestingly, with the time of this lunation using the location of New York, we do have those planets landing in that 2nd house. Chiron and the North Node in Aries, relatively quiet with the exception of the opposition that they make to Libra. However, tomorrow I believe we're going to see a quincunx pop up between the moon as it moves further into Virgo, is going to touch off Chiron and the North Node, and you will be focused a bit more on your own individual healing or work that you know you must need to do to fulfill your purpose, whatever that might be. Right now, it's more about the observation and the analysis and then the decision that's going to put your plans in motion. That square There's a bunch of different ways you can be feeling that right now. Increased desire is coming through a conjunction of Venus and Mars with Pluto. And Venus and Mars are masculine and feminine in nature. And many people will be looking for a partnership right now. And there's a bit of friendliness or non-attachment that comes with Aquarius, the impulse to jump in very quickly as well. And since these planets in Aquarius are squaring Aquarius's ruling planet with a planet that urges for more, and then we have Pluto intensifying everything, there can be a lot of leaping before looking. There can also be a fear about following through on impulses. Some of the motivating factors behind things could involve looking around at what everybody else has and where they are in life, wanting to have what you might perceive of as, well, everybody else has whatever it is that you want. But the bigger question is whether you really want it or need it, or is it just that you're being caught up in the desire to obtain and a greediness or FOMO, fear of missing out. Ultimately, when we have squares and oppositions, we want to take that energy, which creates a lot of pressure or push, and direct it in a conscious way. And definitely gathering the information or knowledge is going to come about through having the physical experience. And like the song says, you have to, the only way to know is to go. I know I have the lyrics quite wrong there, but Rockstar, that is the name of the song. And it's a good song to listen to right now because, unless you actually get up and do something, you never will know if you don't go, and you're not going to shine if you don't glow. I believe those are the lyrics. So getting your glow on, thinking about what you have to offer, and if you've been repressing your unique energy or how you see the world in a different way, then this square can actually be pushing you, as well as the opposition pushing you to be expressing that unique view or your talents, or not being afraid to stand up and say, yeah, I'm the only one in my area who knows how to do and fill in the blank, whatever that specific thing is. I know lots of people with strong Virgo placements who have extremely specific skills, like knowing how to weave or build or repair things from other time periods. I often think of that sign as being arcane knowledge, that purposeful and useful things that we no longer need in the everyday, but when we specifically need that knowledge, or if we find out that that particular knowledge is going to be helpful to us, then we turn to the person who has that. I know a lot of people who have strong Virgo energy who are into herbology and know an awful lot about plants and the healing energy of plants, or they're nutritionists and are very concerned with overall holistic health, and that would be very Virgo. And form does seem to follow function, so the artistic expression that can flow out of Pisces, which is very imaginative and seeks to bring forward the beauty and the healing and the inspiration, distills down through the material side of life. So that opposition can activate the form follows function mindset, where you might be creating something that is both beautiful but is also going to be functional, or you're taking something that had some other purpose and you're repurposing it and reusing it and recycling it. Virgo is also the great rehabilitator and recycler and repurpose person. So look to the areas of life where you can bring in something in a different way and make use of something that you already have, and you would be utilizing both the Pisces Virgo opposition and the Aquarius Taurus square. And if you have a whole bunch of stuff you're cleaning out in your life, there are probably other people who want what you have. So donate it. Put it to a good cause. All right, let's take a look. Oh, and I totally skipped over Neptune, but Neptune's generally peaceful and happy right now. It's in its ruling sign, and it is the planet of beauty, healing, and inspiration, and it is making a nice sextile to these planets here in Aquarius, particularly Pluto. So we have power, control, crisis, transformation, and upheaval, and a planet that can heal, forgive, enlighten, inspire, supporting that. So we've got a powerful transformation energy and a powerful healing energy helping each other out. And if you are going through growth and change, even if it's uncomfortable or it's something that's happening and you don't really want it to happen, that minor but still significant sextile can definitely make life better in the long run, or help you to get through something that is challenging. All right, let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. Where'd my mouse go? So we round up to 6 degrees of Virgo, and it's on the second level, emotional/cultural, a merry-go-round. Keynote: the first experience of the dynamic intensity of life processes and the possibility of using them to reach a characteristic ego satisfaction. Several features connected with the old-fashioned type of merry-go-round should be understood in their deepest symbolism. 2 stages of experience are distinguishable: that in which a very young child is seated with his mother or nurse in an open carriage. The only experience is that of circular, perhaps at first dizzying movement, and the stage of riding a horse or some other animal, which often goes up and down as well as around. That is true. I can remember when I was permitted to get onto one of the individual animals rather than sitting with a parent in one of the little carriages. As the horse always represents the vital energy, later understood as libido or psychic energy, the merry-go-round at this stage symbolizes or prefigures the awareness of the cyclicity and the ups and downs of the emotional life. In the fully developed merry-go-round, the child on his horse is given some kind of handle to try and catch a ring hanging within his reach at a fixed point just outside the merry-go-round, pulling the brass ring, which I don't know if present-day merry-go-rounds still do that, but I think you won a free ride or a prize or something. If he succeeds in this rather difficult operation, the child wins a prize or gets a free ride. The symbolism is sexual in its implications, but more generally, it implies that any cyclic release of life energy provides us with the opportunity of demonstrating some type of skill and mastery. This is the first stage of the 30-second sequence of 5 symbols. In its broadest sense, we see here a characterization of what the developing consciousness, and at a certain level, the disciple on the path, experiences, an objective approach to the life force. Well, there's a lot to think about within that. Definitely a greater understanding comes about, and more motion, that the more you know, the more likely you are to have participation with the world around you, and to both give and receive energy in life through your expansion of consciousness and knowledge is what I get from that. But there are cycles, and we do, kind of the up and down energy that the merry-go-round represents. We can feel that opposing sides or transits to a chart go through kind of a breathing in and a breathing out cycle. When we begin a thing and we natalize it, 6 months later, the faster moving planets of Mercury, Sun, and Venus are on the opposing side of that chart wheel. And we go through that type of a cycle most notably in our life, particularly in relationships. People meet, 6 months later, they're either moving deeper into love or apart. Then again, at the 1 year mark, the 1.5 year mark, the 2 year mark, there are certain moments in cycles. The 2 year mark is frequently when people take an action in their relationship, like cohabitation or engagement. And that has a lot to do with Mars being on a 2 year cycle. So from the time people meet, and then 2 years later, when they're on a Mars return, they take an action. But we have that in and out and up and down that we feel as we go through life with the cycle of the faster moving planets. And at the full moon especially, we have that opportunity to kind of step outside ourselves and see what's going on and see what do we need to do. And at this full moon in particular, it is very much about discerning what is most important after observing and collecting all the information or data, and then deciding what to do with it, while also considering its impact upon the beingness or the spiritual side of life. In other words, you can go buy your exercise equipment, but you're probably not going to get buff unless you actually use it. But you must also be able to be happy with getting on that exercise equipment and putting it to use. That you have to already see yourself as becoming physically fit from using your exercise equipment. So the embodiment does have a lot to do with the spiritual perspective, but it still must integrate the physical doingness. And that's what that full moon is making you most aware of. But definitely take those risks and chances on anything that will make your life better or make you happier now. There always will be some challenges and work where squares and oppositions are involved, but there's also gain and positive growth indicated by the rest of the energy in the sky right now. Take care, and I'll see you 2 weeks from now when we look at a new moon.